So you've annotated your textbook and you've created some nice Cornell notes that you can now use to study. How could you go about turning those notes into something useful to help you remember this information? Well, I'm going to show you how. Now, if you did this in uh, person and with actual paper, one thing that you can do is have this part right here on the left side where it has the words, you can fold the paper right along the side of this line right here. So something like that. So now you would have the key terms in one side of the paper and your answers and examples in the other. And that way you can be looking at your key terms and ask yourself, do I know how to define that word? Hmm, and then flip the paper to help you check to see if you got right. It's kind of like creating a foldable. The other way you can do it is also backwards. You can look at your definitions and examples and see if you can figure out what the word that attaches to them are. So this is the basics of why it's nice to have it printed. Even if I typed, I would probably do that. Another way of doing that, by the way, is just make a list on a separate sheet of paper of all the words which are in your left column, and then just kind of use that list to check off the words as you study them, and then look at your Cornell notes without folding them as your answer key as you're quizzing yourself. So all of those are really good methods of using your Cornell notes to study, but I want to give you a little bit more detail on how to do this, and I also show you how you can do it on the computer. So what I would do is just make a copy of all my notes. So select my entire table, something like that, and then open a new document and paste those notes in that document. Okay. So now what I would do is, let's say I'm studying from the words to the definitions. If I'm doing it that way, I will come by and delete all my definitions. Now I have a list of words to study from that I can work with, and I can actually use this empty space to try to type my definitions. So say, for example, an open system, something that allows free movement of matter and energy, right? And then I can go back to my notes and see if I got that right. On the other page, I can check it out. So let's see, open system, free movement in and out. I feel pretty confident that I know that one because I got that right. Now, if I didn't get it right, then I can just try again later. But how do you organize this in such a way that you know what you know and you know what you don't know, right? So my idea is to actually use either a color coding or a check mark system to do this. And I like to do this on paper, not on the computer screen. But I'm going to show you on the computer screen what I do when I do it on paper. So I'll have a list of the words that I don't know, or this is the side that's folded to the back side of my Cornell notes after I took them. By the way, this is why I never actually take notes on the back side of my paper. I only write on the front side because I want to use my Cornell notes as a foldable. So the other way you can do it, though, if you don't like doing it that way, is you can get your paper, right, and get a second sheet of paper, right, something like that, and basically you would just cover up the section that has the questions, or cover up the section that has the answers. You can do that way as well, and then you can actually write on both sides of the paper if you want, which is an advantage. But here's what I do. I will go through each of the words out of order. Very important that you study out of order, because doing so will allow you to not memorize the sequence in which the words show up in the definitions, but actually whether you actually know them. So I'll pick up a random word from somewhere. I'll try it. Now, if I take too long to remember it, or I get something crucial wrong, or I forgot details that I probably should have included, I'm tough with myself because I want to get it right now and not get it wrong on my quiz, right? So I quiz myself and I'm really harsh. If it's not good enough, I put a negative sign on that word, right? And then I try it again. I will do it. Now, when I'm quizzing myself, I want to say that out loud. It helps a lot to literally practice out loud. Once again, you're reading it, you're saying it, you're hearing it, your brain is processing it many times. Or at the very least, practice writing it, right? By writing it on an empty sheet of paper or rewriting your notes as you quiz yourself. Either one of those ways works. And then I'll keep going. I try another word. Maybe this one I knew when I tried. I'll try this one. It took me too long to remember it. So maybe I'll put a negative sign on that one. And then I'll just keep doing that through the entire list until the entire list has positives and negatives. Now, the negatives might be the ones that I did not remember or that took forever to remember or got something crucial wrong. Once I go through my entire list, I take a break. Then I come back to the list and revisit my negatives and try them again. If I get them right this time, I will turn them into a positive, right? And then if I still got them wrong, I leave it as a negative, take a break, go do something else, come back to it, try again. And I keep doing that until my entire list is positives. Now, you can also use a color coding system, something like red for the words I did not know. So you can shade a box in red for the ones you did not know and had the negative sign on them. Or you can use maybe yellow for the ones that you did get right. And I'll show you why yellow, why not green in a second. So when I'm done with this and the entire list is positive, I know all my words, okay, or nearly all my words, I will take a really big break, go do something else, maybe even wait for the next day and revisit the list. Now, on the revisit, I am trying to make sure that I still know the words. If I still know them, I might turn my check mark into an asterisk, right? And then actually say, now I really know these words. If I forgot them, then I demote them to a negative sign and I keep going through the entire list like that until I check the whole list. Now, those that were negatives, I will take a break, revisit, turn them into positives. But I cannot turn them into stars unless I already waited a long time or even the next day to revisit the list. So stars require a break between. This makes your brain have to revisit the words multiple times, and it really helps you stick with that information. If you haven't been studying like this, it's no wonder that you get to the quiz and you can remember. Like if you're a musician and you're going to a play, you want to play the play piece by heart. You're not going to do it on the first try, right? Some people are talented; they can read it right away and get most of it right. But most concert pianists, they will sit there and practice it a lot so that they know it by heart. That's what you want to do before the quiz. You don't want to get to the quiz without knowing that you know. You want to be able to have quizzed yourself, right? So this is a great way to use the Cornell notes to do this. And remember, you can also study backwards, right? And I actually would repeat the entire process again. And actually, this time around, instead of deleting my definitions, I would actually delete my words. So I'll go to my first column, and this would be equivalent if I'm doing it on paper by just flipping the paper to the other side and reading the definitions, trying to figure out what the word is. Now, when I was a study in school, I actually like to start this way because for some reason, I used to tend to remember the words more easily if I already did it this way first and then try the other way. It made the process faster for me, but it might be the other way around for you. You'd have to try it to figure it out. So I strongly recommend that you use your Cornell notes as a study skill to self-quiz. And on the next video, I'm going to show you how to do this with other study tools.